Welcome to This Week in Taiwan. I'm Iris Xu. Every Saturday, we break down the biggest stories making headlines across the country. From politics and policy to culture and the unexpected. Whether you are tuning in from Taipei or halfway around the world, we've got you covered with what you need to know to stay in the loop. Taiwan is home to 23 million people, and you might think what happens on this small island doesn't affect you. But in reality, it is quite the contrary. From geopolitics to global supply chains, Taiwan is more connected to your life than you might expect. So let's get into this week's news and see just how interconnected we really are. Taiwan and Slovakia have reached a significant milestone in technological cooperation with the inauguration of a joint semiconductor laboratory last Friday. This facility, part of a Taiwan-Slovakia Strategic Industry Development Plan, was unveiled by Vladimir Simoniak, the State Secretary of Slovakia's Economy Ministry, and Li Nanyang, Taiwan's representative to Slovakia. The opening of the lab was attended by Maximilian Stremi, the rector of Slovak University of Technology, or STU, and Marek Radvansky, the head of department in the Slovak Academy of Science, highlighting the strengthening technology partnership between Taiwan and Slovakia. Simonia expressed gratitude to Taiwan for its support in developing Slovakia's semiconductor industry, emphasizing the project's importance for bolstering the country's chip sector and establishing a foundation for an innovation-driven economy. He noted that Slovakia's strong automotive industry makes it well-positioned to collaborate with Taiwan in the semiconductor sector, potentially securing a competitive edge in Central and Eastern Europe. Despite representing only 2% of the EU's population, this partnership could enable Slovakia to capture 5% to 10% of the region's semiconductor supply chain, particularly in the design, assembly, and testing of power conductor modules. Li highlighted that Slovakia has developed a vital platform for power semiconductor solutions, crucial for regional integration and technological cooperation. The Industrial Technology Research Institute, or ITRI of Taiwan, has been key in this effort. ITRI Deputy Director Zeng Yujie visited the new lab and committed to supporting Slovakia's semiconductor development and talent training. The Taiwan-Slovakia Strategic Industry Development Plan, initiated in 2023 and set to continue until June 2027, aims to establish 2 semiconductor labs, cultivate industry talent, and enhance technological capabilities. Currently in its third phase, both parties have committed to expanding mutual beneficial projects. The remaining amendments comprising the 7 submarine cable laws passed third reading at the Legislature this Tuesday and will, among other stipulations, require vessels to activate their Automatic Identification System, or AIS. Violators may be fined up to 10 million NT dollars, or $317,000 US. In response to repeated incidents of submarine cable breakages around Taiwan, the cabinet proposed the 7 laws to strengthen cable protection, ensure essential public services, and enhance national security. The legislature had already completed third readings for half the amendments the previous week, with lawmakers from both the ruling and opposition parties voicing support for the amendments. In the future, all vessels operating within Taiwan's territorial sea baseline, internal waters, or restricted waters must keep on-board AIS equipment operational and transmit accurate vessel identification information at all times. Damage to meteorological facilities through negligence or other illegal means is punishable by fines up to 2 million NT dollars or $63,500 US, and any vessels involved in the theft or damage of submarine cables will be confiscated. This Wednesday, The National Security Bureau, or NSB, and the Defense Ministry reported to the Legislature to brief lawmakers on the Chinese threats and the readiness of Taiwan's armed force. The NSB said that as of December 15th, PLA aircraft had entered Taiwan's surrounding airspace more than 3,570 times in 2025, surpassing the 3,070 incursions recorded in 2024, setting a new record. In addition, the PLA conducted 39 joint combat readiness patrols, which are believed to be tests of Taiwan's early warnings and response capabilities and to verify their battlefield operations for a Taiwan Strait conflict. The PLA also conducted its first dual aircraft carrier training exercise in the Western Pacific, per the NSB, and there were incidents such as Chinese Coast Guard vessels using water cannons against Philippine government ships and J-15 fighter jets locking onto Japanese F-15 fighters. These actions have prompted the United States and its allies to strengthen collective defense along the First Island chain. As part of joint military exercises, the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines have all deployed missile systems meant to boost sea denial capabilities. NSB Director General Tsai Ming-yen said that this approach prioritizes the First Island chain and highlights Washington's effort to promote coordinated defense capabilities among allies to deter the CCP's expansionist threats. As for the combat readiness of Taiwan's armed forces, the Defense Ministry stated that it comprehensively monitors PLA activities around Taiwan Strait and that the military is appropriately dispatched at sea and in the air based on key warning indicators. The ministry also emphasized that in the event of sudden attack, units will carry out combat missions under decentralized operational guidance. Defense Minister Wellington Gu said they emphasize mission command so that units can handle unexpected situations. The Defense Ministry stressed that they are working to advance 4 military development priorities: asymmetric warfare capabilities, defense resilience, reserve force strength, and gray zone response capabilities. They are also developing countermeasures such as the Taiwan Shield, further demonstrating Taiwan's commitment to self-defense. The U.S. Senate on Wednesday passed the compromised version of the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, after the House of Representatives approved it on December 10th. The legislation, totaling $900.6 billion, now heads to President Donald Trump for signing. The bill authorizes $1 billion for the Taiwan Security Cooperation Initiative, aimed at strengthening Taiwan's defense capabilities in response to increasing Chinese coercion. It also directs the Pentagon to develop joint unmanned and counter-unmanned system programs with Taiwan, focusing on research, development, and production within the framework of the Taiwan Relations Act. Republican Senator John Curtis said the legislation reflects an evolving security environment and ensures the United States is prepared to deter adversaries such as China and Russia, while also reinforcing key alliances, including with Taiwan. The bill also calls for expanded U.S.-Taiwan Coast Guard training from fiscal year 2026 to 2030 to enhance maritime security and law enforcement capacity. The NDAA also requires the submission of a long-term Taiwan Security Assistance Roadmap, outlining defense needs and exploring the creation of a regional contingency stockpile to support Taiwan. It also incorporates the Taiwan Non-Discrimination Act, reaffirming U.S. support for Taiwan's participation in the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. Taiwan's Defense Ministry said Thursday that a United States arms sales package to Taiwan worth $11 billion is expected to formally take effect in about a month. The ministry said the U.S. government completed congressional notification procedures late Wednesday for 8 proposed arms sales cases, marking the largest single U.S. weapons package ever announced for Taiwan. Deals are subject to a congressional review period, after which they are expected to proceed as planned. In a statement, the ministry said the U.S., in accordance with the Taiwan Relations Act and the Six Assurances, continues to assist Taiwan in maintaining sufficient self-defense capabilities and in rapidly building robust deterrence forces, which is said form the foundation for regional peace and stability.
A Hong Kong court on Monday convicted media tycoon Jimmy Lai on national security and sedition charges in a closely watched case widely seen as a test of press freedom and judicial independence under Beijing's rule. The High Court found the 78-year-old Lai guilty of 2 counts of colluding with foreign external forces to endanger national security and 1 count of conspiracy to publish seditious materials. Sentencing will follow mitigation hearings scheduled for January 12th. Lai, who is a British citizen, faces a possible life sentence and has already spent more than 1,800 days in detention. Lai is the founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily, a pro-democracy tabloid that was forced to close in 2021 after authorities froze its assets under the Beijing-imposed national security law. Prosecutors accused Lai of using the newspaper and his international contacts to call for sanctions against Hong Kong and China. Judges said Lai acted as the, quote, mastermind behind the alleged conspiracies and ruled that his actions showed intent to undermine the Chinese Communist Party. Much of the conduct cited by prosecutors occurred before the national security law took effect in 2020. The verdict drew swift condemnation from media and rights groups. The Committee to Protect Journalists called it a, quote, sham conviction, while Amnesty International said the law has become a tool to silence dissent and poses legal risks for journalists and businesses. International criticism followed. The European Union said the case was politically motivated and renewed calls for Lai's immediate and unconditional release. Chris Patten, Hong Kong's last British governor, said the ruling showed Beijing was violating commitments under the Sino-British Joint Declaration. Meanwhile, Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee welcomed the verdict, saying Lai used media platforms to incite hatred and invite foreign sanctions. The case has become a symbol of Hong Kong's post-2020 transformation, with critics saying it's marked a sharp decline in the city's long-held freedom and rule of law.